Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having productive weeks, and if you're not, I hope you're just, chilling, kicking back, enjoying life. Today's video, I finally get to include my playthrough of God of War, but not from the angle of just singing its praises as an accomplishment in video games, but rather the human sacrifice that these big projects have to make in order to create such triumphant masterpieces. I'm of course referring to crunch culture in the video game industry. Now, I'm not here to bash these companies or say anything negative about their ethos or any of that. This is more just based on the thoughts I was having when I was playing God of War. Every area that I visited during my playthrough was just spectacular. The vision that this game manages to realize in almost every scene is truly breathtaking. But I couldn't help but think how much work it would have taken, How many deadlines that must have had to have been met. Passionate members of the team working extreme hours to make sure the game was as polished as it ended up being. Today, I'm going to be referencing from a few articles online, and I'll leave them linked in the description in case anyone wants a full read. And if your neurons are activated at any point during this video, let me know by hitting that like button for me. It does really help out. And then pop up in the comments as well and let me know your thoughts on crunch culture or how much you appreciated God of War in general. And lastly, if you're new here and you want to join the squad, we're just getting started on this channel, by the way, then make sure you subscribe with the noties on so you don't miss out on videos, and you'll be included in my future giveaways when we hit milestones. Anyway, here's my video. Crunch culture, the ultimate sacrifice. Vice.
You envy me. I've still got it, lads. He remembers me.
Alright, let's start this video off by identifying exactly what we mean by crunch culture in the video game industry. This definition varies on where or who you ask, but basically, and this was taken from an Auroch Digital blog post, crunch refers to studios working extended hours as they push towards a major deadline, usually launch. These periods of crunch can be extreme, and the combination of long days and no time off inevitably wears people down mentally and physically until they break. It's an issue which blights the game industry. Now with this, there are multiple heads to the hydra, as you can probably imagine. There's the stance that someone who's extremely passionate and devoted to their job, working in the industry that they love, who has also found themselves in a flow state of productivity, is willing to put the extra 5 hours in to just get that last thing done that they want to achieve that day, week, month, whatever the time allocation may be. Sometimes you just have to get mad scientist levels of recluse when you're working on something you're passionate about. It's how you just make progress when you capitalize on moments of fleeting high productivity. But all too often it's reported that this is expected from staff members, to be putting in ridiculous hour work weeks, sometimes unpaid overtime just to meet deadlines. Workers fearing that if they don't match the hours of their peers, that it's implied that their jobs are on the line, and it's bringing employees to their knees, destroying mental health and sometimes relationships with their partners or family at home.
So you value your privacy more than your son, eh?
I'm going to cut off your head now.
Fair enough.
So why does this happen? Again, referring to Auroch Digital's blog post on crunch culture, crunch occurs when a new feature request being made or a pivot in the direction of the product without budget being appropriately provided. So the game lead might just suddenly have a brainwave of an idea and throws it at the team and insists on its implementation, even though it may be unrealistic to achieve with such short notice or budget. Poor estimation of the amount of work required to make the product, i.e. overpromising and underestimating. Signing a project that is known to be undoable without crunch, as the budget allocated to the work is not enough, but signed anyway due to financial necessity at the company. That point is extremely interesting. Projects would be taken on knowingly that human sacrifice would have to be made in order to achieve the vision of its design. It sounds like that one probably could be avoided. A significantly large unexpected issue with no budget allocated ahead of time to deal with such events. Video games are extremely complicated beasts, with lots of moving parts. Many systems, engines have to be able to talk to each other in order for things to run smoothly, and there are thousands upon thousands of variables. Sometimes these hindrances could be so large you just couldn't foresee them. But there should be a fail-safe in place to some degree where extra funds or time can be allocated to things to be fixed without crunch. However, this is a bit of a grey area surrounding that particular reason. Games taking longer than promised to finish always attracts bad press from journalists trying to insinuate that things aren't going well at said studios, and fans start to get angry. We all know how toxic the internet can be, right? And this can be seen by shareholders, investors and publishers as potentially damaging to the game's launch sales or projected earnings in general. And we know that money talks. Inadequate production methods at the studio, leading to mistakes being made, work being created inefficiently, and so on. I guess this ranges from a lot of things, like either time management, leadership, unclear goals, etc. And this would differ from studio to studio, but interestingly, the game lead from God of War said this in an interview about his job role. Cory Barlog says, "A game director, in my mind, is somebody who makes everybody on the team miserable for the duration of the project. Honestly, the majority of the job is about putting yourself in uncomfortable positions every single day. It's about not knowing at all what you want to do, but also knowing exactly what you want. You have to have this straddling balance of realizing that games are incredibly complex. You can have an idea of where you want to go with something, the structure of something, but the actual moment-to-moment figuring this all out, it all unravels over the course of, in God of War's case, about 5 years. You're sort of selling everyone a car for 2 years, because there's really not much there. You're just convincing them. You should try this. This is going to be great. Trust me. Even when it's a crazy idea or something way too big initially." And I think that's what a motivator really needs to be like, reminding everyone constantly about the bigger picture while they might be extremely frustrated with their initial task, that ultimately once their problem solving has been completed, they'll be able to be happy with the end product. And in God of War's case, the end product is truly remarkable. The way the game reimagines the whole gameplay and storytelling aspect of the franchise, which was once about brutal melee combat with Greek mythology thrown in, and now tells a story in a more mature way, subject matters holding more emotional weight, the camera that never cuts away, the Metroidvania style revisiting areas with new abilities or skills in order to further advance and explore, the pacing which blends together the visceral executing of enemies with beautiful landscapes to explore and upgrade your gear in RPG fashion. And if I was a member of Santa Monica, I would probably be very teary-eyed multiple times seeing all this come together. But what I struggle to really find online are any articles from employees about how it really was down at Santa Monica Studios during the development of this game. With 300 employees and 5 years of reworking an entire franchise, there is absolutely no way this game didn't crunch its employees at some point. I even watched the Raising Kratos documentary on YouTube, which is 2 hours long, and although it was an amazing behind-the-scenes look at the creation of the game, I couldn't help but think it was extremely lacking when it came to talking about deadlines and crunch in general. And understandably too, as it is a bit of an ugly topic to talk about, I'm sure. I would think maybe that they are contractually obliged to not speak about it perhaps. This is just speculation on my part, but if you look at the development of similarly massive scoped games, Red Dead Redemption 2 or The Last of Us Part 2, there are stories that wives of the developers writing letters to the game studios in Red Dead's case about how their husbands are destroyed from stress and the work hours they are dealing with. Seeing their spouse's mental health decline even while having their dream jobs is pretty heartbreaking to read. So my question with all of this really is, the wonders of the world were all built with human sacrifice. The Great Wall of China, the Taj Mahal, and the pyramids, and so on. We marvel at these feats of achievement in awe of their beauty, but most of us don't even take a second to think about the slavery and death that it would have taken to create them. Now, I'm not saying video game developers are made to be slaves here, but should we feel guilty like I kinda did when I was playing God of War? When I looked around me at almost every area of the game, I was just speechless by its detail and beauty. The acting felt like high-budget Hollywood, and the combat and animations in general had weight and believability. The sound design bringing it all together. Should we look at things like this and know that humans were the price? Humans who have passion for games but are worked until their mental states are fragmented and broken down? Or do we just accept that that's the price that people pay to create genius works of their lives? Can, with more unionization and better monitoring, crunch be kept under control? What do you think? God of War is truly incredible. Although it was released in 2018, the PC port feels as next gen as they come, and the sequel this year is likely going to be another smash hit. I just hope that everyone who works for Santa Monica are okay and looking after their mental health, along with anyone working in the games industry. I absolutely love video games, but I hate knowing that there are thousands of people across the world who have to suffer to make them. I hope we can see change. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. It took me a little bit longer to get this out. The game is actually way bigger than I thought it was. I hope it didn't disappoint you, and it was something that you didn't expect. Once again, hit that like button for me if you did like the video, and if you're new, make sure you subscribed. And if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. But until next time, I'll see you when I'm looking at you.